start with the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. However, we are waiting for an additional member to join us so that we will have a quorum and be able to do votes. So I'm going to ask to move the approval of our minutes to the end of our meeting. Do I need to do, I guess,
We can't vote on anything.
oh, yeah, so we're going to do that.
We can't, yeah, we can't conduct business of any type.
Okay, so we will,
We should do roll call just to have a clear record of who is or is not here.
okay, great. Yeah, we don't normally do a roll call, like where people are saying who's here and who's not.
Yeah, it's just a formality thing, just that way it's on the tape as well, so.
Okay, we can certainly make sure that we're doing proper order of things. Okay, so roll call. How do you guys normally do this? Just down the line and we say our names?
Normally,
or should we,
normally the clerk or secretary would call it, but we can just go down as well. It's
okay,
fine.
well, let's just go down the list since our secretary is one of the folks who will be absent tonight.
Right. So, starting at the far end then, or?
So we'll start with Tanisha.
Okay, yeah.
I say my own name. Tanisha Jones is present.
Shannon Willoughby is present.
Brittany Harper, present.
Elmer Vice present.
All right, and then we'll move those minutes to the end. So I'll turn it over to Tanisha, who can give us the liaison report.
All right, I am going to keep this pretty short. I just wanted to show some early images from Chalk Walk. It was a very successful event. We had a fantastic day. It was perfect weather. Most of our vendors showed up. I believe we had 2 absences out of 55. We had a really good crowd, 8 professional chalk artists, and a ton of competition chalk artist squares. I believe we had an amount in the 40s of competition squares, so that's pretty awesome. And we also had a lot of volunteers, which really helped things. 2 things that we introduced this year was a kids area. You see in the lower left-hand corner of your screen, the Chamblee High School Art Club, the Booster Club, came and did a art activity with the kids. And then they had these strings where they could hang them and let them dry, and the kids would come back later and pick them up. It was very, very successful. And then in that same kids area, we had games, free face painting, and a couple other things spread out for the parents. It was a really good addition this year. Let's see.
Tanisha, can you say again how many professional artists there were?
I believe there was 8 officially, and then if I'm not mistaken, there was 1 extra who was not contracted, who happened to be in town for a different event. And so the Georgia Chalk Artists Guild said, why don't you come to this one first? And so he ended up doing something as well. Yeah. All right, and then budget planning. So we had done a Google Forms this year to put in priority the different ideas that people had throughout the year, as well as the things that we have been budgeting for in past years. So I took all of that and had them rated by priority, giving them a score, and this is how it came out. So I was surprised to see that the Chamblee Gateway mural actually came in first. So I am happy to work on that. That is, if you guys remember, it's a partnership with MARTA, because it's actually a MARTA retaining wall that is on. And so that'll be an interesting project if we move forward with that. And the mural on it is fairly old. It's one of our first. I would say, gosh, a decade? More, yeah.
That's the one on the corner by like the Del Sol and all of that, by the gas station?
Behind the gas station, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, okay, so here's the list, and you guys should recognize this from kind of, from kind of what we, what you voted on in the Google form. This is hard to kind of understand looking at it this way, but I wanted to put this in here just so you could see the different responses. And then for the next couple slides, if you'll just bear with me, I wanted to highlight a couple before we open it up for discussion. So on this slide, I was highlighting the things that I think we do need to keep in the budget, even if they didn't come in the top 10. And that is either because it's something that we do every year, something that we, helps just keep things running, or in the case of the Arts Master Plan, something that I think the city is asking us to maybe prioritize. So then in other considerations highlighted in blue, these are things that I think maybe need a little more discussion. The roundabout sculpture, although I think it's, a really fun idea and other cities have done it successfully, I do know that there is some hesitation by city council regarding safety, just because, there have been issues in other cities of people who have then sued the city for running into something solid. And so having something in the middle of a roundabout, I just don't know where that discussion is, and I think it's worth noting, basically. The SIFA quilt project I highlighted because I do think that that is a project in which we could mark off some of our goals for this year or for next year. Reaching out to another community business or, nonprofit and working with them. I think that could be a sort of an easy win. And then the new pack shirts, I just wanted to highlight that because I think since it didn't come up as a huge priority for this group, I do think that I can probably fit it into this year's budget and just go ahead and get them done. And the reason why I want to get them done is because we do have a new logo, and we don't have any shirts that have that logo on it. So if we show up to ribbon cuttings and things like that, it would be nice to have an updated version of that. So then this is my last slide on this before discussion. So this is my staff recommendation out of the list, and this is the total of which it comes to. We in the past have gotten 160 even, I think, for the last 2 years. We have been told that there's a possible, I think, 10,000 more that's hitting the hotel motel budget that is likely coming to us. So I kind of kept my number in between those two. And now I will turn it over to you guys for discussion.
I guess I'll just say, regarding the roundabout liability, I guess, or possibility of liability, it makes sense. I thought that the sculpture idea in the roundabout was a interesting idea, but it's not something to me where it's a must-have. I think the PAC did a really great job with voting, so I'm open to moving that down the list.
Tanisha, could you please help me understand? Because this is where I was like, well, I think this is important, but I just, can you help me understand what all is part of when you say Arts Master Plan? What does that exactly mean?
Yes, so this would be our second Arts Master Plan, and basically what it is we hire an outside consultant or a firm, and they do a good amount of research, community outreach, surveys. They look at, let's say empty buildings, or they kind of take a big view of the arts in Chamblee, what we've done, what we could do, what we should do. And they basically come up with a a 10-year plan for us, and that guides us, especially the PAC, it guides us in what we should be looking at project-wise and goal-wise.
Okay, so the 55,000 there is like consultant fee?
Yeah,
Okay,
and we have that, we have that invoice, basically. We've already reached out to them, and that's
Yeah.
the price.
okay.
It's a shame that Tom's not here because I know he was the big proponent of the roundabout sculpture project, and I feel like he would be the one to best do it justice to advocate for that. But it's unfortunate to hear that liability is like the reason why we should move it down the list, as opposed to maybe trying to find a path to yes to include it. I don't necessarily see a path to that, but if other cities are able to figure out how to make it work or find solutions to the liability concern, surely there's a solution out there. So that's just a little bit disappointing that that's the reason why, but I don't really have an answer or a solution to try to get past that particular argument. So I don't know what to do other than just to express my disappointment, but.
If I can shed a little light on this, it's a very unique situation in Georgia right now. The city of Milton, year ago, I guess it was found liable for a young man's death due to a car accident. His car went off the road, hit a concrete-filled tractor tire that was a planter that had been on the side of the road since before Milton was even a city. Family sued. In Georgia, cities do not have immunity from liability, whereas counties and the state do. So if it had been a state road or a county-owned road, the family would have been out of luck. But because it was a city-maintained road, they could sue the city for it and succeed. In this case, the court sided with the family, granting them a $35 million penalty against the city. That is more than, it's about the city of Milton's annual budget. So effectively, if they're held to have to pay that, the city of Milton's going to be filing bankruptcy most likely. It's been appealed. It's been moved on to, I believe, state superior court. They've just announced that they're going to take the case up. So it's going to drag out for another couple of years in court. The city of Chamblee has signed on to an amicus brief supporting Milton. We think it's ridiculous. The majority of the cities, the majority of the 359 cities in Georgia have signed on. Because if this were to hold up, someone could say that a fire hydrant placed in the right-of-way is a hazard, and now that has to be moved. Well, if your right-of-way is designed to hold your public utilities and you can't put them there safely, where do you put them? It's created this vicious loop, and unfortunately, until that's cleared up, everyone is being very cautious. Speaking on my opinion for the roundabout sculpture, in general, I like the idea for that location. I don't know that it is the right one because it has a very much utility circle. It's also the first one in the area, and I have a feeling we're going to see people tracking through the middle of it a few times. We've already had some buses and tractor trailers go into the plantings a little bit. I think the future roundabouts that are planned for Chamblee-Dunwoody, being more in the core of the city, being with paths and trails alongside them, may end up being a much better location for this type of art. But this particular roundabout that we do now have, it's kind of off by itself. It's not a heavily pedestrian area. Again, this part is my opinion. This is not the liability side of the rest of the council's. I don't know how much attention it would get there for the investment that we'd be making into it. I think, again, my opinion, I think the roundabouts that are planned at Chamblee-Dunwoody, at American Way, and at New Peachtree, either one of those or perhaps even both, would be a much more effective location. All of that to say that until this Milton case gets resolved, and we are all very hopeful that it will be resolved in the city of Milton's favor, we are concerned about doing anything beyond the very functional requirements of right-of-way usage right now.
Thank you for that background. That's really appreciated because I did not have all of those details. And I also think that your other observations about just it being having more pedestrian traffic and that sort of thing makes a lot more sense as using those metrics for our basis of decision-making. So given all of that and the concern around what might happen with this pending court case, I'm in agreement that we can table this and revisit this for a future year to see where it makes sense to do that. Is there any other, I feel like we're awfully quiet. I think the staff recommendations are pretty much in line with what we have voted as our priorities, clearly, since it's the first, almost the top 10 with two exceptions there. So I feel like that's probably not why there's not a lot of discussion. So if,
I was hoping for the coloring book. I really was hoping for the coloring book.
well, maybe that can, maybe Chambly High will want to take on a project. A coloring book could be very fun.
It was just a great list overall, in all honesty, so.
Yeah, I was going to say the same, and I think that we've kind of hit a stride with some regular annual things, too, that are going to start, using our budget. But they're good things, and they're worth it. So, yeah.
And I will say, there's two items. The matching grants program, we get to multiply some of our effort. When we can try and bring partners to the table and get more out of it, I think it's a good use of resources. And the master plan, that was a pre-COVID written document. For anyone who hasn't written it, it's on the city website. And it's a good document, and we've tackled a lot of it, but I think a lot of the bigger ideas have shifted and changes that have happened in the city in that time. So there's some other conversations that are going on with City Center and other projects around the city. This is a very good time to, let's get a new roadmap. Let's update the maps and see where we're going.
Yeah, I fully agree with that about the master plan. And then also noting with the matching mural grants, I think it'd be important for us to also recognize that was in, that project specifically was in this year's budget. And we drafted an outline of what that program could look like and have shared that with the different city departments that need to review that and sign off on that. And I believe that it is with the legal department, correct, Tanisha? Please correct me wherever I get something wrong. That it's with the legal department for their review and approval before that could be moved forward. So there is some concern for that same budget number, 50K, was what we had budgeted in the current year that we're in right now for that program. And so we have discussed offline that there's some concern about that program not being approved with enough time for us to be able to act on it within this calendar year. So I think that can be a discussion for next year, or not next year, sorry, next month, when the rest of the group is hopefully here to discuss. But we've got some ideas around how to pivot and be able to use those dollars from this fiscal year and do some art programming that wasn't a part of the initial budget, but that money does definitely need to be used, or it's a use it or lose it situation. So I just want to acknowledge that so that it's on record, because that definitely was part of our plan for this calendar year. Progress has been made toward that program, but it seems likely that we may not be able to enact it before the end of the calendar year. Well,
I thought this meeting was going to be long.
I know. We're like, looks good, cut, print.
Can you reiterate for me what program you were just talking about?
Matching mural grants,
that's
number 2 on the list, on the screen in front of us. So I guess, would it be helpful if maybe we just do like a one-line or something description, just so it's on the record? I know our meetings are recorded, of what exactly each of these highlighted pieces are, so that that's kind of out there. The redo of the Chamblee Gateway mural, Tanisha just described how that mural is over 10 years old and needs to be updated and refreshed. So we're looking at not just cleaning up or redoing what the existing art is, right? It's my understanding is that we would do a full request to get a new proposal and a totally new piece on that, right?
Yeah, and, I do want to say that I drove by that yesterday at lunch and kind of went, this might be a lot more square footage than I had in my head. And so it's possible that it might come in over 25K. So before we finalize our budget, I'm going to see if I'm sure I do have the square footage of that somewhere, and really do the math on that to make sure that it's correct.
Okay. And do we anticipate, because we did discuss how that is a MARTA property, is a retaining wall, we clearly have made it work in the past. Do we anticipate there being any concern from MARTA about redoing that?
I don't, because they've actually reached out to us a few years about redoing it to see if we were interested. And I think it's just kind of been on their to-do list. It's been on our to-do list, and we just haven't made it a priority. So now that it is a priority, I think they'll be happy to partner on that.
Great, that's awesome to hear. So then item number 2, the matching mural grants that we just discussed, so that is where we would offer up to $10,000 for a business, or it could be a business, it could be a apartment complex, that type of thing within the city of Chamblee, where they would then match our contribution by at least by 50%, right? It's not a 100% match, it's a 50% match.
Yeah.
And then secure an artist to create a mural. So that's the matching mural grant project. Chalk Walk, as we just discussed, is the annual event. We just had I guess this was our 4th annual, I believe, correct? And then the roundabout sculpture we discussed, which will not be on the recommendation for moving forward, it looks like. And then the arts master plan, I feel like we talked about that a good amount. And then the public art cleaning, item number 6. So that is where we would secure some assistance with just cleaning up murals, sculptures, if they're dirty or covered in spider webs or whatever.
Yeah, so this year we did, I want to say there was 15 on the list, and so basically the plan is, do a chunk every year, so that eventually we'll catch up and maybe do, each one will be cleaned once every 2-3 years, something like that.
Got it. Okay. And then Art Drop 2026. Tanisha, I know you have led that project for 2 years, so if you want to maybe just give a little description of what that project is.
Sure. So Art Drop, this past year, 2025, we spent exactly $1,500, and so I thought that number was still appropriate. And basically, it's a community, kind of a community-led event where we give the supplies, and people are creating art and dropping art within the community, and other community members are finding it. So it's a small event that grows every year, and I think we're sort of happy to keep going with it.
Absolutely. And then line number 8, marketing. Do you also want to speak to that? Because I feel like you have a better handle on what you spend those dollars on.
Yeah, so I would say that our marketing budget this year went almost 100% to Chalk Walk, and that was almost 100% matched by Discover DeKalb, which is great. So they saw the value in Chalk Walk, and they decided to put a line item in their budget for us for marketing, so that's fantastic. And so we were able this year to do a good amount of marketing, and if we do it again next year with this amount and they match it again, we would be able to maybe even do like a television commercial for it, which Taste of Chambly has done in the past.
All right, and then item number 9, the SIFA Quilt Project. Tanisha did touch on that a little bit. So SIFA is a nonprofit arts organization. That's the Southeastern Fiber Arts, thank you. I was like, it's not foundation, it's Fiber Arts Alliance, Southeastern Fiber Arts Alliance. And then that quilt project is sort of like a community involvement piece, correct?
Yeah, and what they're looking for is sponsorship so that they can take the finished piece and create kind of like a book and tour the piece around to other maybe nonprofits or other, city halls, things like that.
Great. And then lastly, with supplies?
And so supplies is kind of a catch-all, that's if basically, we forgot to order a new sign or things like that.
Great. All right. Well, I think I have successfully padded this meeting as 6:26, so if there's no further discussion, we also, now that Polina is here, we do have a quorum, so we can take a vote. So I would call for a vote to solidify the green highlighted items on the list that's on the screen, and set that as our 2026 priority project list and budget. So if anyone would like to make a motion for that vote to happen, I'm all ears.
Motion to proceed with the highlighted green items for the 2026 budget.
Okay, and
Second.
thank you. Do we have any further discussion? All right, so then all in favor of approving the highlighted list for our 2026 project list and budget? And that's all 4 of us, and so then no one left to say no, so it passes. And congrats, we've made a decision.
Brittany, do we want to go back to the minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, before we move on to if there's anything else under new business, we can go back to approval of the September minutes, now that we do have a quorum. So Tanisha did share those with us for the August meeting in your email, so hopefully everyone received that and had a chance to read that. And so I will take a motion to approve the August minutes.
Motion to approve August minutes.
Thank you, Polina. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Shan. Any discussion? All right. All in favor of approving the August minutes, raise your hands. Good. All right, it passes unanimously. Woo-hoo. Okay. Nothing under new business, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Oh, boy. I went too far.
Off the rails.
Off the rails. Jeez. Now we got to go back again. While I'm trying to get there, you could call for any public.
Yes.
Comment.
So no new business, so we are at the public comment section of our meeting. Anyone would like to come forward? Share anything weighing on your hearts? All right, no public comment. So with that, it looks like we have concluded our meeting, so I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Shan. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Polina. Any discussion about adjourning? No? All right, all in favor of adjourning our meeting? We are so adjourned. Thank you, everybody.